is Commissioner Scar. Today is Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak. Again, pressing *6. It is very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. All right, we'll get started with our Board of Commissioners roll call. Commissioner Yamamoto, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Always a good thing. Thank you.
Perfect. And I do not believe that Commissioner Bell is going to be with us today. She is traveling. She is actually at the Emergency Management Conference for the week. So I'm going to give her a shout out because I looked a minute ago and I didn't see her phone, but things change rapidly while I'm talking. So Commissioner Bell, were you able to call in this morning? Okay. That was what I thought. I thought she wouldn't be here, but my eyes don't move quick enough through the phone list. I don't want to take the chance of leaving somebody out. So, again, thank you all for being here. We're going to jump in with Adventist Health Tillamook with Eric Swanson. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner. It is, let's see, we've got 14 patients in the hospital today, plus 3 brand new babies. 8 surgery cases scheduled today. Ambulance crews did 5 911 transports yesterday, 2 transfers, and 3 transports home. Today, we have 173 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon. That's 8 more than yesterday. And just as a point of reference, back on the 1st, we had 214. So that number has moved in the right direction. Discharge delays, we have 410 across Oregon. That's 2 less than yesterday, and on the 1st there were 466 discharge delays, so that number's come down a little bit. On March 7th, we had our annual Employee Service Awards. We honored all of our associates who'd worked for us for 5, 10, 15, and 20 plus years of service, and I just want to recognize 4 associates for their years of service. Steve Morris, who works in IT, has been with Adventist Health Tillamook for 25 years. Jackie Fox, our ambulance director, is at 30 years. And I was actually here the very first day Jackie showed up. And Janice Wolk, one of our dietitians, 35 years. And last but not least, our most tenured employee is Pat Valeni, our infection prevention nurse. And many of you know Pat. She has served Adventist Health Tillamook for 45 years. So just want to congratulate them and thank them for the great work and continuing the mission of Adventist Health. So with that, unless you have questions, I'm going to drop off the call. I've got to get ready for another meeting.
Thank you so much, Eric. And please share our congratulations with those long-term employees. That is impressive. In our world today, very few people stay more than a few years with any employer. So when you have someone that is over 40, over 40 years and joined by some folks over 30, that is very, very impressive. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Eric,
thank you.
I just wanted to point out also, Eric, congratulations. That's a great achievement to have that many employees with Adventist Health Tillamook for so long. That's terrific.
Yep, we are honored to have them here, and it's just it just speaks to their commitment to this organization and to this community that they love to serve. And I think that is one of the things that makes us different compared to many hospitals is we're serving our family and friends every day.
I agree with that totally. Thank you for what you do.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Moving on. I'm going to give a shout out for the Coastal Caucus and see if there's any chance anybody had a quick gap and joined us. I will quickly share that I was down in Salem or over in Salem yesterday and had a chance to see Senator Weber as she popped in to testify on a bill that I was also testifying on, and I can just assure you they are running crazy over there. There's lots going on, lots of hearings and work sessions on bills that had to be scheduled by last Friday in order to keep bills alive. So they are working as fast as they can on still having a large number of bills in front of them. So we thank them for the work that they're doing and understand why they are not with us this morning. Okay, moving on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Do I have either Ed Colson or Marlene Putman with us today? Okay, I didn't see either of them, but again, I always like to shout it out in case they've called from an odd phone number. Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I do have a few announcements. Thank you. 3 announcements, actually. First, our outreach team is participating in a resource fair vaccine clinic organized by Consejo Hispano on Wednesday afternoon and evening at the Tillamook County Fairgrounds. That's this week. And also, we're pleased to be partnering with the North County Music Project. I mentioned this last week for a benefit concert for the Neo County School District's music program, and that's this Sunday. The concert will feature Maria Moldauer at the White Clover Grange in Nehalem Sunday afternoon, with some members of the Neo County High School Choir opening the show. Tickets are just about sold out. There's a few still available, and you can find those on tickettomato.com. And also, a little information here. As you probably may have heard, the Health District, the Nehalem Bay Health District, one of our important community partners, is implementing a comprehensive plan aimed at improving health and senior care and supporting health care and other essential workers. For more information, you can visit their website set up to convey more information, www.nehalemhealthcare.com. And there are also several community events set up to convey more information about this. So please look for more information. There's 2 scheduled at the North County Recreation District in Nehalem, and still to be scheduled is 1 or 2 at the White Clover Grange, also in Nehalem. So, with all that, just another reminder, we're here to serve you. If you're interested in scheduling an appointment with one of our medical providers, including behavioral health, please give us a call, 800-368-5182 for more information. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Ken Williams, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Frank Ken Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. If you are interested in any information about the agency, about any of our programming, and interested in finding out about appointments, please 503-842-8201 or 1-800-962-2851. I would like to just take a moment to say that as of April 3rd, the Oregon Health Authority will be dropping its masking mandate, so that persons who come in for services to the agency and staff will not be required to wear a mask. That has prompted some other kinds of changes, and one of the things I want to let folks know is that when you call for an appointment, that you may be wanting to be able to have an appointment in which it is an in-person appointment. Of course, at the moment we offer some in-person appointments, and a number of appointments are virtual. And of course, with the dropping of the mask mandate, that sort of puts our scheduling in a little bit of a different framework. And so what I would say to you is that over this pandemic period of time, we have really staffed up. And when I say staffed up, is that we have put ourselves in a position of being able to, number one, offer appointments. And a significant number of those are virtual, and that it would have been very much consistent with the mask mandate. With the mask mandate dropping, that puts things in a little different form, and if you are wanting very much to be able to have that appointment be an in-person one, it's probably going to be a bit more of a wait. We're in a situation right now where we're dealing with that balance of staffing, and as I said, our priority has been an appointment, not necessarily having it be in person. So we're transitioning. And this is just to let you know that it's not going to be as much of an issue for you to be able to have a virtual appointment. I think being able to have appointments virtually is going to be with us for quite a while. But if your primary preference is an in-person one, it's going to be a bit of a longer wait. So I want to let people know that. I want to continue to communicate that to folks when I'm able to do that. And just to let you know that our intent is to serve you and to provide services to you. And I'll stop talking now, and if you have any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to take them.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. It is definitely an interesting challenge as things all roll back to in-person and what that means and looks like with our staffing shortages. I know we have been both in the medical side of things and the behavioral health, which is an extension of our medical side, able to use some remote providers from out of area that just can't do in person. So we appreciate the challenge of the return. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to the Sheriff's Office. Do we have Sheriff Brown with us? I think we do.
Good morning, I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, we can.
I don't have anything major to update. Just a reminder about our SAR banquet that's going to be coming up towards the end of April. We're working on collecting our donations and getting those squared away. We'll be using the virtual platform event.gives, which Tillamook County should actually be somewhat used to because other organizations such as the YMCA and Tillamook Chamber have used those. Our anticipated date that tickets will go on sale will be first part of April. We're hoping or shooting for April 3rd. Obviously, we have to get some things squared away in order to get that going. We did put a press release out or a flyer up on our social media pages, so that'll hopefully kind of get people talking and get the buzz going. And we'll continue to put out postings about that. And of course, when we get the event created and tickets go on sale, that'll be up there as well. So we are extremely excited about that. We've got a really good night planned for that. Besides that, we're just plugging away. We're obviously aware that multiple spring breaks from our state and neighboring states are happening this month, so we're trying to handle the increased call volume that goes along with that. And enjoying the break from the rain and snow and enjoying the sunshine. Other than that, I can take questions, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Sheriff. All right. Well, I'm going to guess that I do not have Randy with us today because Randy Thorpe, our emergency manager, is also at our emergency management conference. So we will thank him for being down there learning a whole bunch about how to respond to our emergencies. I look forward to hearing from him when he gets back. So we will jump into our Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Yamamoto, you want to kick us off?
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much. So things have been really busy. Last Friday was kind of a milestone for this legislative session. By midnight Friday, if a bill was had not had or was not scheduled for a public hearing, they're basically dead. So that cut the number of bills that we're dealing with probably in half, maybe even a little more. But there are still a lot of bills out there that are dangerous, at least what I consider to be dangerous. Let me go through just a few of them that I'm following and have testified for or against. Let's start with SB 90. That is a State Forest Management Task Force bill by Senator Golden. And that has not had a public hearing. So that one is basically dead. And no one could figure out exactly what that State Forest Management Task Force, who was going to be on the committee and what exactly their task was going to be. I had a couple of conversations with Senator Golden, and so that one has not had a hearing. The problem with SB 90 is that SB 90 just sort of sits out there, and it is possible that towards the end of session, it could become a bill that we call a gut and stuff. So it started out as something else, but towards end of session, if someone has a great idea or not so great, it could become a gut and stuff bill. So that's just something that we're going to have to watch very carefully. Another one that I've testified for and followed very closely is SB 85. That was a CAFO bill, a confined animal feeding operation bill, looking to place even more restrictions on CAFOs. I know everyone in Tillamook County should be familiar with CAFOs because our dairies all use CAFOs in Tillamook County and across the entire state. It's not only dairy cows, but there are dairy cows in many other portions of the state. The Oregon Cattlemen's Association was very concerned about this bill, but it also concerns pigs and sheep and goats. The way this bill originally started was in Lynn County. Apparently Foster Farms was looking to build a rather large chicken operation, which was going to need a CAFO. And it was going to be in some areas that some people did not think it was a good idea to have a chicken farm. So that's how this whole thing started. It started with just poultry, but of course it expanded very quickly to include all animals throughout the state needing a CAFO, and it was very problematical. It placed a moratorium on CAFOs. Most of the large CAFOs require a renewal every 5 years, and yet this started with a moratorium until 2031. So there was a probability that because of that time frame and because of having to renew their CAFOs every 5 years, there were going to be dairy farms or herds of cattle, things of that nature, that would lose their CAFO permit. So there was a groundswell of the people that came out and testified. We actually filled two large meeting rooms full of people wanting to testify. That CAFO has now changed, and it is a poultry-only CAFO. That relieves a lot of pressure for a lot of us in the state of Oregon. But one of the things that we continue to see, even with simply a poultry CAFO, it's taking now, it was taking a huge bite, now it's taking just a little bite. And that's one thing we see happening all the time. Rather than a big movement because it's difficult to gain support on a statewide CAFO rule, now it's just a poultry CAFO. But that's a small bite at the apple. And once they get that small bite, they continue to chew away at it over the years. So again, just something that we have to watch very carefully moving forward. HB 3201, the broadband bill, which I testified for, is gaining a lot of support. It has had 2 public hearings at least, and continues to move forward. There is a competing bill, HB 3249, which is what I call a large telecom bill. These are the large telecom companies that are adamantly against 3201 because they think that it is taking away business opportunity from them. And in my conversations with our federal delegation in Washington, D.C., a lot of this money that's going to become available from the federal government for broadband for all the states, it's really about rural areas. The urban areas, if you look at Washington County or Multnomah County or Clackamas County or Lane County, in their major cities, they all have their basic high-speed fiber internet in place. Their concern is getting it from the street in front of the house or the business into the home or the business. But in rural counties like Tillamook County, we have areas that are underserved and unserved without that fiber backbone. It's running down their street. So, and that's true with the vast majority of rural Oregon. And as I've said before, because we started Tillamook Lightwave 23 some years ago, of all the coastal counties, Tillamook County has the most robust fiber backbone of any coastal county. But it's still, far from being where we need to be. So all of this money that's going to become available from the state, it's important that we meet all the federal standards, and that's basically what 3201 does. It makes our rules in the state of Oregon meet, at minimum, the federal standards that we need to apply for these grants from the federal government. The telecom industry, the big telecom industry, is against what we're trying to do. But it looks like at this point we may have the upper hand. Again, currently every state in the union is eligible for a minimum of $100 million. Oregon has the ability to possibly get upwards of $1 billion. But the way and there's all sorts of different things going on here, mapping, blah blah blah. But without 3201, we're really not going to be eligible for this federal grant opportunity because our current state laws do not meet the minimum federal standards. So this is something, again, that we're following very closely. Other than what's going on in the legislature, and again, there's still probably over 1,000 bills out there that we're following very carefully. We have been involved, Tillamook County has been involved in a COHO lawsuit. The Centers for Biological Diversity sued the Department of Forestry in the Tillamook State Forest and the Clatsop State Forest, claiming that forestry practices allow the take of wild coho. We felt at that point, this lawsuit was filed several years ago, we felt at that point that we didn't want the Oregon Department of Justice to be the only attorneys fighting this lawsuit. So Tillamook County intervened, as did OFIC, Oregon Forest Industry and Council. So we've been involved in this lawsuit since the beginning, and sure enough, the OJD, Oregon Justice Department, they were feeling in the past year or so, they were feeling that they didn't have a chance to win this lawsuit. Whereas if you talk to our attorneys or if you talk to OFIC's attorneys, they were very confident that we could win this lawsuit. But being primary, Oregon Justice Department decided they wanted to settle this case. And so we've been kind of involved on the outskirts of this settlement for the past many months. And on Friday, it's apparently this settlement has been agreed to by all parties, except the attorneys from OFIC and Tillamook County. We objected, but again, it doesn't mean much. As an intervener, we are still not in control. But we just wanted to make a statement, if indeed this settlement is going to go forward, that we are not a party to this settlement. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens to this coho lawsuit. And if you talk to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, if you talk to NOAA Fisheries, even in Tillamook County, we've got 2 river systems where ODFW allows a take of wild coho, an endangered species. And that has always boggled my mind. I asked NOAA Fisheries directly. I said, how can ODFW allow a take of an endangered species? And NOAA Fisheries just told me flat out, well, it's because we tell them you can, because you've got so many wild coho coming back to the Nehalem and the Nespeka River systems in particular. So a lot of this just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. We're going to see exactly where this coho lawsuit goes. It may be dismissed because of this proposed settlement, so we will wait to see. One other thing I wanted to talk about, of course, is the Council of Forest Trust Land Counties and our state forest lands. We are having continuing conversations with Jeff Huntington, who is the governor's senior natural resource advisor. We have another meeting with him this coming week, and we're just going to have to wait and see. The Department of Forestry knows they're under a great deal of pressure now, that their implementation plan for the next 2 years is coming up, and timber harvest on state forest lands is probably going to decrease by somewhere around 30%. which is going to cut roughly 30% out of the budgets of state forest revenue to counties, especially to special districts. But it's also going to cut into the budget of the Department of Forestry, because they get over a third of the money that comes from timber harvested on state forest lands. So there has been a huge groundswell of people complaining, writing letters to the governor's office, addressing the Board of Forestry, etc. So I'm glad to see that Jeff Huntington is wanting to have continuing conversations now with the executive committee from the Council of Forest Trustland Counties. And we're just going to have to wait and see what exactly the governor's office is thinking about in terms of keeping the counties whole, the counties and special districts in particular. We know what the Department of Forestry is going to do. They are going to go to the legislature with their hands out, looking for replacement money for all the timber revenue that they get. The Department of Forestry is one of the few agencies in the state of Oregon that really should be, as always has been, a self-sufficient department because of the timber revenue. But that's probably no longer going to be the case if this HCP continues to move forward in its current form. And trust me, the Council of Forest Trustland Counties nor me think that an HCP is a bad thing. No, it is a good thing. But the tenets of this particular HCP are way overboard. And we've been arguing that since the very beginning. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Maybe the governor's office and Jeff Huntington have other ideas. We'll have to wait and see. So with that, Madam Chair, I'll turn this back over to you. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, well, let me jump on and give you a little bit about what's been going on in Tillamook County from my perspective. We had a busy week last week. We had 2 land use remand hearings that we held in the evening, which was a first run at that for us, at least in my time on the commission. The first one was a Goal 18 exception relating to riprap in some areas of Twin Rocks, Watseko community. That remand was held. The original decision of the Board of Commissioners was upheld. So additional, for those of you who are not land use wonks, which I was not until I got to start in this job, really looking at the legality of the decision. When this decision was sent to LUBA by members of the community who appealed it, LUBA said, we agree with you on most of what you said. We have some questions on a couple of decisions you made. So we went back, reviewed the information on the decision relating to putting riprap in front of vacant lots, reviewed the legal underpinnings of that, added some evidence, is what they call it, into the record to assure that when LUBA reviewed it, they could fully understand our reading of and understanding of the land use laws that apply. And we reapproved our decision, so we do not know if that will be appealed to LUBA or if the folks who had taken it to LUBA the first time will stand down based on the new information. So we'll see where that one goes. But that was on Tuesday last week. On Thursday last week, we reheard the application for the Treehouse Campground in Tierra del Mar. Again, this one was a little different. It was one where we had made a decision that this as a conditional use was allowable. Then again, it had been taken to LUBA, but this was what they called a voluntary remand, where the applicants had said, hey, we hear what the people who have appealed are saying, and we're willing to look a little deeper and see if there is additional information we can provide, additional steps we can take to make sure that we are absolutely 100% meeting the land use laws and the desire of the community. So that one was one where we again reapproved our approval of the application. They did place some more information into the record because they had some additional work done between the original application and this. So we shall see if that one gets appealed, but it's a very legalistic process for land use, and I know that doesn't often feel good to the people who are potentially adjacent to a piece of property that's being developed, that they are not feeling like that particular development is right for their area or their neighborhood. Ultimately, it goes back to our land use laws, to our comprehensive plans, to what we have said is allowed in a zone, and we have to follow that. We cannot simply decide, boy, we got more letters of opposed than in support. We should not go that direction. That isn't how it works. We have to actually go in and dig into what do our rules say, and have they followed our rules? If the answer is yes, approval is what comes. So interesting hearings, and we hope that in the future, if we continue to have those, you all will come and join us and learn a bit more about land use as it relates to your communities. I got to be hosted this week, I'll say, out at Cape Mears for our community meeting. It was along with Sarah Absher from Community Development. We went out to take a look at and listen to Cape Mears' concerns relating to trying to find a place to site some more parking and potentially a restroom, and walked and took a look at some properties that were owned by both the Cape Mears Community Association and some owned by the county to see if that might be a viable option. So we are doing our work on our end to see if those particular parcels are something that can be developed for more facilities. So I think many of you, if you've heard me out in the community talking about parking, potties, and trash, this is a perfect example of a space where we need all of those things, and really looking to find out if we have some land that can be developed into that. Cape Mears is doing a great job. They are working with Visit Tillamook Coast. We had Dan Haag with us in this meeting as well, and they are going to do some destination management planning work with Visit Tillamook Coast, and so this opportunity to hopefully roll in parking, potties, and trash to that plan will be fabulous. So I'm looking forward to visiting with them again toward the end of summer, when we know what their plan has determined and we know what is possible on the county land that exists there. Some of you may or may not know, but there are an awful lot of communities in Tillamook County that are unincorporated urban communities of Tillamook. These are areas where we hold responsibility in these unincorporated communities because they are not cities and they don't have their own government. So Cape Mears is one of those unincorporated communities which the county has a community plan for, and that we work with them as their form of government. Okay. This weekend, I had the opportunity to go up to the Tillamook Forest Center, which is open again. Celebration time for there. It is currently open Friday through Sunday from 10 to 4 for March and April. Because of the 3-year closure of the Forest Center, they have all new staff. There is one person on their staff that remains, and that's Denise Berkshire. She was the interpretation lead prior to this, and I know I got her title wrong, so I hope she's not listening. She is the interim director. I know what her title is now, and so she has stepped in to really train everyone on how the Forest Center operates, what the interpretive programs are, and just really get it up and running at full speed, which it will be by summer. But for right now, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 4. So I invite everyone to go up and visit the Forest Center. I really enjoyed my time there this weekend, and we'll definitely be back up there. It's an amazing look at our history, an amazing opportunity to get out into our forest. There's trails that take off right there on the Wilson River. Just a really great facility. So if you have, I know you haven't seen it in 3 years, and many of you living here may be like me, where 99% of the time I just go zipping by on my way to somewhere else. But it is a fabulous facility, built by donor dollars. It's just a great place. So stop in there and say hello. Couple other things, getting into more of the elected official and politicking piece. I was in Salem yesterday morning at 8 a.m. bright and early for a hearing on Senate Bill 406, which is a bill that was introduced by Senator Weber specifically for Tillamook County. It is to help us build more housing. It is a bill that would make it easier to site duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, something that we have identified as key to helping solve our housing crisis here in Tillamook County. We know that we don't have a lot of land that is appropriate for big apartment complexes. We also know that a lot of people in Tillamook County overall would really prefer to be in more of a home setting, which a duplex, triplex, fourplex, or even a cottage cluster could provide. But currently those are things that are not in much of our zoning code. And this bill at the state legislature would put those, give us the direction to put those into our zoning code and provide for us model code to go with that and make it easier for us to make this change. So we've got our fingers crossed that we'll work our way through the system and get this on the books, because it also comes with some financial support for getting the Department of Land Conservation and Development to assist us in updating the plans needed to make that happen. So fingers crossed on that one. We have a work session coming up on the 3rd of April, where I will also be down in Salem for that. I encourage you to take a look at the legislator newsletters that are out there. I know my email box has one sitting waiting for me from Representative Javity, one from Senator Weber, and also one from Representative Gomberg, just south of us. So most of them put out a newsletter. It's a great way to keep track of what's happening in Salem that is important to our community. So I encourage you, if you haven't found those newsletters, go to their websites and you can sign up for their newsletters. The other thing I wanted to highlight for everyone is we are in local election season here in Tillamook County. There are lots of different races that are going on. I was going to take a quick look and see if Tassie had joined us. Doesn't look like she did. But I've let you know that on the clerk's office webpage, if you go into the elections division, you can find a page that is the May 2023 special election page. It walks through the calendar of where we are and all of the important dates, such as when the ballots will be mailed, etc. And if you scroll down on that page, it will also show you the candidates and measures that will be in this election. And we have a lot of different positions that are open I'm just looking really quick. We have 911 board has 2 positions, transportation district has positions, Tillamook Bay Community College. I know all of our school districts have positions. So there's a lot going on. Garibaldi Rural Fire and Nadana Rural Fire. So many of our fire districts have open positions. This is an important election. It's a very important election for our community because these are the pieces that we interact with on a regular basis. Normally the elections that get a lot of attention are the ones where we have a presidential election running. Well, this one doesn't have a president, but it has the people in your community who ensure that the services that you need keep running in the way that we need them to. So these are just really crucial elections, and I encourage you to visit that page, find out who's running. If you're on Facebook, I'm starting to see lots of election pages pop up. I hope that MoveVoter on Facebook will continue to be active. They've done a great job in our recent elections of making sure that you can find all the candidates in one place and their information. I don't know if we will have any candidate forums, but keep your eyes open for that. We often do in our community. But again, I can't state strongly enough how important these local elections are to how things happen in our community. You want to have your voice heard as to who will be on your school board, who will be on your fire district board, who will be on your port board, the folks that are making having an impact every day in how you live your life. Okay, with that, I will wrap up my time, and I'm actually going to turn it over today to the new mayor of Manzanita. We have Deb Simmons with us today. Good morning, Deb.
Mia.
Good morning. I can hear you.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Thank you, Commissioner Scar, for having me. I also want to put out a special thanks to our city manager, Layla Aman, who made sure that Manzanita has been represented here in recent weeks. And thank you. I am very excited about this connection, and I've learned a lot from listening to these broadcasts. So in Manzanita, first I want to remind citizens to take the STR survey, and I appreciate those who have already participated. I think it's over 400 people, 400 responses, but don't quote me. I heard that number yesterday. The deadline for taking the survey is April 15th, and also Manzanita is taking nominations for Citizen of the Year. You can read more about that on the city website. The deadline for nominations is the 15th of May. Nominations can be submitted on the website, or paper forms are available at the City Hall. Also, after 9 years on the Planning Commission, John Nansen has stepped down. We want to thank him for his years of service and invite new applicants for that position. The process will begin with applications being posted on the city website after the April council meeting. This past week, I invited 4th and 5th graders at Nehalem Elementary School to participate in the Oregon Mayor's Association poster contest. The theme is If I Were Mayor, and the deadline for that contest is April 5th. The winning poster from Nehalem will be submitted to Salem for the state competition. As a retired school teacher, it was fun to be back in the school again and surrounded by children. Yesterday, we had our second Mayor's Monday, which is an open invitation for anyone to drop in and chat. We also had 2 counselors attend yesterday, Counselor Edgington and Counselor Kozlowski. So it's a great opportunity for citizens to ask questions and share ideas. These are held at the Manzanita Library on Mondays from 10:30 to 11:30. And last, beginning in April, Counselor Kozlowski is organizing conversations with counselors. These are going to be posted on the city calendar. Folks need to sign up for only one session. They will be happening on Tuesday and Thursday in April, so you can check the times on the website or call City Hall if you have any further questions. So thank you for having me. It's great to be part of this broader postal community, and I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Simmons. We appreciate having you with us, and we'll look forward to continuing to hear from you in the weeks to come.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Rockaway Beach, where we should have, I believe, Mayor Charles McNeely with us.
Good morning. This is Mayor McNeely. I am here this morning, but I do not have anything to report. So back to you, Commissioner Scar.
Wonderful. A nice quiet week in Rockaway Beach. Okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy those, because they are almost over as we sit here on, I think, the second day of spring. It's the world is coming to see us very soon. Okay, City of Garibaldi, Mayor Tim Hall.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, we can.
Yes, the Garibaldi City Council is holding its regular council meeting tonight at 6:30. One of the topics to be discussed is a steering committee to form a fire district for Garibaldi, Bay City, and related districts. We're excited about some of the improvements that we're going to be making. We're also going to do a review of the city's 2008 vision plan to see whether or not that's still applicable. And also, the city is looking at having to deal with an update on the forever chemicals that we may have in our water system and how the city is going to respond to that. That's all that I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that's a lot. You all are busy in Garibaldi. Thank you for the update. Okay, City of Tillamook. Do we have City Manager Nathan George with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, I can.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, I have several things. First, I wanted to give an update on our meeting last night, the council meeting. We had the American Red Cross Month proclamation was read in. And approved, of course. Also, we wanted to announce that the Moda Health, in partnership with the Trailblazers, is going to be funding some all-use playground equipment at the Coatesville Park, which is 9th Street, formerly called 9th Street Park. So we will actually have representatives of the city going to the game this coming weekend and be able to accept a check in the behalf of the city. And we're excited about this partnership with the Trailblazers. They said that they gave us the money because of the wonderful partnership and just the feel that they had when they came last summer and set up here between the courthouse and the city. So we're very excited about that. We also have a planning commission vacancy due to resignation, and we ask anyone who's interested to contact the city planning department. Also, we had the swearing ceremony for Officer Brian Fitzgerald. I'll talk about that a little bit more. We had the introduction of our Madeline Orton, our Public Works project manager, and she is responsible for all of our infrastructure projects, including the water transmission replacement line between our water treatment plant and the city, Fifth Street overlay, and ADA accessible sidewalks, and all kinds of other wonderful projects we have going on. Really excited to have her here. excited to have both our new officer and Madeline here. Also, we had a request from a business owner of Rosenberg's to actually modify the grant easement to allow for sale signs on the property, which used to be Dairy Queen. So it's the property north. The city actually owns that property, and there is a perpetual easement between Rosenberg's and the city to allow parking by Rosenberg's employees. Current law allows for employees to put a for sale sign on their cars in front of a business or near a business in public right-of-way or public property during business hours, so that is all. And the requester wants to have that all the time. So the city council has voted to have me look at additional options to what were presented last night. Furthermore, we had our budget calendar was adopted for our municipal budget this year. And we also held the second reading and the adoption, and which was approved for reenacting our ordinances, our code of ordinances, which was not codified since 2013. Has now been codified. That means that all the ordinances and resolutions that were passed by the council have all been put into a code form. It's online. It's very easy to review. It's accessible to everybody. You could even go set up your own account for searching and saving ordinances and codes. And that will always be updated from now on. We will not have the situation where it was just sort of shuffled to the side and not put out there for the public. So now it's transparent, it's searchable, and it will always be orderly. That will save city staff hundreds of thousands of dollars in time just researching, and the public as well. So very excited about that. Mayor gave a good update on the dinner he attended regarding the co-op, the Tillamook Cheese Factory, and we had a financial report. We had didn't have a planning commission report last time. We did have a brief report from the Tillamook Urban Renewal Agency, what the project they're working on, and we'll go into detail on that. And also, we I'm announcing that the city's special elections for Ward 2 and Ward 5 were held earlier this month and has not yet been certified, but the unofficial results can be found on the county clerk's office on the Tillamook County website. And once those are certified, we'll be putting out a press release to the public. So, the police department, as traffic increases, warm weather, please be cognizant of more pedestrian traffic on our sidewalks, crosswalks, and right-of-ways. As I said last night, Officer Brian Fitzgerald started on March 16th this month, and he was sworn in last night at City Council. He is a military veteran and experienced law enforcement officer from another agency outside the state of Oregon, so we're very happy to have him here as well. We are conducting the training and installation of e-tickets the next 2 days. This will save a significant amount of officer time and public money in a substantially more efficient system. Basically, the officers can do the ticket electronically, which saves a significant amount of money and time. Chief Rao attended the Telecommunications Policy Committee at DPSST, which stands for Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, and discussed the viability of requiring psychological evaluations for telecommunicators. Chief Rao was also elected as the Vice Chair of the 911 Advisory Committee here in Tillamook. We certainly appreciate the work of the county and our agency and the other agencies involved in working on everything we're doing with public safety, especially 911 Advisory Committee. In Public Works Department, on Wednesday, March 15th at approximately 2:30, a third-party directional boring contract was drilled into a 12-inch ductile iron water main at the intersection of 11th Street and Pacific Avenue. This results in a massive water leak that caused localized flooding and the closure of 11th Street from Pacific Avenue to Laurel Avenue. A few more updates on this. The Public Works Department performed a temporary repair to restore pressure to the affected customers in that area due to the type and location of the damage done by the directional boring company. The repair necessitated hiring a specialized contractor capable of performing this kind of on-site repair. The repair was completed on Friday, March 6th, 17th. In addition to the press release that went out, we put a stop order on it until everything could be resolved. Unfortunately, this damage on the contractor for the work, this damage sustained in the city's water line main results in potential contamination entering the water system in the area. Accordingly, the city worked with the State Health Authority and the County Health Department to issue a boil water notice to affected customers in the area. The city wants to clarify that all affected customers were notified and provided with adequate drinking water. Customers unaffected by the potential contamination will not be notified directly. The ones that have been unaffected. Now the repair is completed, required water tests are being conducted to ensure that the water meets Oregon State Health Authority standards for safe drinking water. and we should be getting back the results for these tests today. After the water is safe, the city will notify all affected customers and lift the water boil notice. City is committed to providing exceptional public service. We appreciate everyone's patience as we try to mitigate this unfortunate event quickly and safely. We always ask you to contact our Public Works Department. At our main number, you can hit option 9. We also have our email is always publicworks@tillamookor.gov. And wanted to say that we've been working with the contractor. The contractor has been great to work with, and we are removing the stop work order as everything is coming together. So we're really happy about that. Also, our street division is conducting a cleanup in and around Hocourt and Slough. Please be mindful of employees and equipment in the area. Our street crews are addressing several potholes. For potholes or street concerns, again, please email our publicworks@tillamookor.gov. A fun fact, did you know that the first water pipes in the U.S. were made from wood, which were board logs that were charred by fire? Since then, all pipes have been replaced with either ductile, cast iron, copper, galvanized steel, or PVC. And I can say actually some haven't been replaced. We've seen this some places across the U.S. where we still have wooden water pipes. And that is all I have, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate that. Quick wooden water pipe story. Many of you may know I lived at the Trask River Fish Hatchery for the first 20 years of my time in Tillamook County, and as we were remodeling some of the fish-related work there on the hatchery, they were digging up some pipes and things and actually found wooden pipes still in the ground that were wood. They actually had been wrapped in wire, so there definitely was quite a few of those around Tillamook County. Okay, moving on. Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, it was really crazy to look at it and think that really was how water was carried in the early days, because I think that hatchery was built maybe in the 30s or somewhere in that timeline. Okay, moving on. Our final report of the morning will come from Doug Olson. Doug, what is happening in South County?
Oh, good morning, Commissioner. As of the moment, nothing is happening because the sun is out and people are moving, and it's absolutely a beautiful day. However, I will mention a couple of things upcoming. You heard earlier from Commissioner Yamamoto about what's going on in the legislature, and some of you may know I represent Tillamook PUD on the Lightweight Board, and we've been following what's going on over there in terms of money being available for expansion of broadband, and we think we have a very good plan. We're going after some money very aggressively. We have good, heavy partners in this. But it's very frustrating to get where you think everything is going to come together and we can expand service, and then folks who have a vested interest come out and throw money around Salem. But nothing is easy, so I'll just leave it at that. We will keep fighting the good fight, and I think in the long run we'll have enhanced broadband service. On another note, I'll mention what our chamber is doing in 2 weeks. Commissioner, you mentioned about the special election, and we're very aware of that. We're going to be having, I guess, what we call a mini candidates forum where all the candidates in South County for the school board, fire boards, JWSA, water and sewer boards, and so on. Anyone who's running for anything like that in South County will be invited to come to the chamber meeting on April 4th, 12 noon at the Kiawanda Center, and at least introduce himself or herself and say, here's what I'd like to do, and take a few questions, and then, of course, meet a few people before and after the meeting. So this is a pretty good way for them to get their names out before the public and say who they are and what they intend to do, and maybe what the issues are that they're interested in, and so on. So we'll do our part to keep those people in the news and out front where people can visit with them and meet them, shake their hand, and go from there. So 2 weeks from today, 12 noon at the Kiawanda Center, we'll probably have a dozen or more candidates. And like you said, these are very important positions. They set your water and sewer rates. They determine, in some cases, your fire insurance rating. And, of course, the school board these days is a pretty important position because they determine what our youngsters are taught and where the money comes from and where it goes. So with that, I'll say thank you, Commissioner, and get outside today. It's quite nice.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. We are all now fully educated and informed about what's happening across our county. I appreciate everyone's attendance, so I would like to thank KTIL for broadcasting and encourage you, as Doug did, to get outside and enjoy the day. Thank you so much. We will adjourn at 8:54 a.m.